Danger, Will Robinson. Danger, Will Robinson. Danger, danger, danger. May contain explicit content. Please, no littles in the room. I cannot afford to take care of that therapy. Thanks.
From day one, you fought for your life, and you blew everyone away.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back.
I'm Jesse.
I'm Alisha.
And we are changing the chances.
Welcome, welcome.
So today, we are going to go over Piper's diagnosis and a little more in depth. I know we've kind of touched base on a few of them, but
yeah, I mean, we've definitely mentioned them. We've done,
yeah,
I mean,
like this far in.
Yeah, we would hope we would have mentioned them by now, right?
But Alisha had an email with someone that had left a question.
Oh yeah, I got
was
a
awesome.
message. Yes, I did. I got a message. I used to work with her actually, and she is somebody who actually works with disabled young adults.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Currently, so it was very cool. She was asking about Piper's eyesight. So if we've kind of mentioned that Piper's technically legally blind.
Yes.
As far as the numbers go. Yes, she can see, but she is
very limited.
Very limited. She's like 18 to 20 inches in front of her face, probably wearing glasses. And she has no peripheral vision.
Due to both of the laser surgeries that she had when she was an infant.
Because she had ROP when she was born, which is retinopathy of prematurity.
And that just happened because Piper needed so much oxygen when she was little.
Yep.
And the great thing about oxygen, which can kind of suck, is it makes things grow. And yes, we want things to grow when you're, the size of a dollar bill. But she needed it. So plus she needed it. She was struggling to breathe. But it made the veins in her eyes grow rapidly. And instead of
the blood vessels.
Yeah, the blood vessels. Sorry, not the veins, the blood vessels. And they grew on top of each other. They stacked on top of each other instead of spreading out throughout the eyeball. So we had to worry about them ripping, is it the cornea?
Detaching her retina.
Yeah, detaching the retina from her eye.
Yeah, because they will push up and they will actually push the retina away from her eye, and that'll cause you to go blind.
So instead of her being completely blind, we opted to put her through 2 surgeries to save what little vision she still had.
Yeah. So they laser those blood vessels so they stop growing.
Yeah.
Which means she never got her peripheral vision. That's gone.
Yeah. And yeah, that's why she doesn't have it, is because it wasn't able to develop.
Yes. And we have mentioned that her official diagnosis is also CVI, which is cortical vision impairment, which is actually issue with your brain interpreting what you're seeing, not your actual vision.
Sight, yeah, your actual vision.
So I mean, it's very complicated actually when you break it down. It seems like she's blind but not blind, and she has a problem with her brain. And
so like with Piper, when a person walks into a room, a person observes, they see the room as a whole. And then they pick out individual items, a throw blanket on the couch, a rug on the floor, things like that. That's too much for Piper. It's a sensory overload. When we present Piper into a room, she can't take the room in all at once. So she has to see things individually, one thing at a time. Well,
I mean, technically it's not overwhelming. She can't see all that stuff.
Well, yeah. I'm like, most of it she can't see, but even if she could, it would probably be...
it would take very long for her to
process everything in the room.
Because we have talked about, like, the whole thing with cortical vision impairment is that your brain doesn't understand what your eyes are seeing. So we literally have to, like, train her. We had to start very simple, like one object, like a circle in the middle of a black piece of paper. So very high contrasting items, just to help train her brain to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
So she's had to work her way up. So like now she can look at faces. For a long time she didn't really, she'd look at you, but not.
You could tell that she wasn't looking at you. Yeah, she was looking in your direction. She was looking at your face, but she wasn't seeing you. Like you could see that she wasn't seeing you.
Well, and faces are so complicated. They don't seem complicated if they don't. But yeah, you have eyes and a
There's
nose and a
depth
moving
and-
mouth
yeah.
and all the pieces. So
And when it takes your brain a second to comprehend what it is you're seeing, it can be very confusing and difficult.
yes. So given that she has such vision issues, like she still to this day will not directly look at an object and reach for it. She will look at an object, turn away from it, then reach for it. She still won't look while she's grabbing for something.
Yeah, I think that's a little, for whatever reason, it's a little much for her.
Yeah.
Or it's just difficult for her.
I mean, and she does occasionally, but it is still very rare. That's something we're still very much working on.
She does better with her ping pong balls in her metal bowl. She'll look at the bowl while her arms forward, but she's usually looking so far down, like her chin is to her chest.
So she's probably seeing more of just the bowl.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, she's seeing more of the bowl, I would think, than like what's going on inside of it and her hand. But it's still progress because she's looking in that direction.
Yeah.
While she's doing it.
Yeah.
So commend her for that.
Oh, of course. She's
It's the little stepping stones that we celebrate.
Of course. And tracking's still really hard. She's do it.
Yeah, she's gotten a lot better. But still
but
difficult.
Yes, still very difficult. And she's got a lot going against her.
Yeah,
if we're just being honest.
She's had an uphill battle from literally day one.
So this friend of mine who asked, she wanted to know how they test Piper's vision because Piper can't tell us,
Is A or B? Again, A or B? Which one looks better to you? Piper can't do that.
No, Piper cannot do that. So if this is new for you, we will tell you how. As I told her, it's just a very good guessing game is the way I like to see it. Because what they do is I sit Piper on my lap so I can help control where her head movements are going and everything. And the eye doctor, what he does is he pulls out little lenses, kind of like, if you were looking through the machine at the lenses that would flip in front of you, but they're kinds he can hold in his hand. And he holds them up to her eye and he shines a light in it. And my thought is...
Because your eye reacts to light.
Yeah, he's watching how her eye reacts, if it's looking like it's focusing or not. And he grabs a different lens and he does this till he sees what he deems as, I guess, like focusing or
where her eyes adjust the best,
yes,
so to speak.
And that's kind of how they test her vision. It's an interesting process because I thought the same thing when she had to go in for her first pair of glasses.
Yeah, we
and I'm
talked about it. It's like, how are they going to do this? Like, she's not going to tell them anything. Like, and that's one of the things, being nonverbal that we're trying to work on as far as communication. That way she can give us maybe some kind of cue or something. Like, even if we could give her yes or no questions,
Yeah.
Do you want to do this, Piper? Yes or no? Does this, can you see this?
And in all fairness, there are very specific things we can ask her.
Oh, and
she will definitely give you a yes response, even though she's not actually saying yes.
Like if you ask her if she wants to go swimming, you want to get in the pool, you want to go swimming?
Yes.
And she kicks her feet and throws her arm up in the air and makes her little squeal, smile. And that's her yes response.
Yes. It is very obvious.
I mean, I'm sure anybody looking at her would be like, oh, yeah, that seems like a yes to me. Like
that looks like excitement.
Yeah. But it would be nice to have a little bit, be able to present her with more complex questions.
Agreed. And we are working
Piper,
towards that.
How do you feel? Does this hurt? Things like
yes.
that. But it's still getting her to comprehend what these sentences mean.
Yeah.
But we're working with her and she's doing good. She's progressing. And that's all we can ask for.
You know what? If you met Piper today, I'm going to throw this out here real quick. If you were somebody who met Piper today and who's never met her before in your life, you might, generally speaking, think that, Piper is very delayed. And you can see that.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're somebody who's been around her whole life, you can see, how much stronger, she is physically. You can see how much more she understands. You can,
Oh, yeah, like
So
your
from
mom
an outside
and your dad
perspective,
and my mom and
it
like
looks,
Trip and Ellie.
yeah.
Like they can see it. Your brothers, they can see it because they've been around since she was a baby. They can see that, yes, she's delayed. Like even when you ask her a question, she has to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you might even have to ask her again
before
you get a response, because even for her to give you her yes response of excitement, she has to like think about that. She has to make her body do this.
Yes, yes, it is a process.
But then there's other times, like when I get home from work and I'm like, I just want her to acknowledge my existence.
Oh man, I know that's hard.
I'm like, just give me something. Just acknowledge my existence. I love you. Like I just slaved away all day for you. Like just acknowledge my existence. And there's days like she wouldn't piss on me to put me out if I was on fire, boy. Like
it's like the thing you love about her, because it's like the thing you love about her, that she'll just be whoever she is and with like no regrets.
Yeah,
like this is who I am,
regrets.
and I have no issue like with not acknowledging you. And you love that because you're like, I wish I could be that person, but you know, as trying to be a functional adult, I kind of have to do things I don't want to do all the time. But also at the same time, it's so irritating because you're like, I understand that you don't want to acknowledge me, but could you just like give me a head nod? Like anything.
Just make a noise, something.
And so,
some days it's rough like that. I'll admit, like that's one of my bigger ones when I just want her to love me.
You're like, I just need acknowledgement that you still love me.
Right? Like I'm doing
I know
all
that
of
you
this
do,
for
but
you.
I need the acknowledgement.
Like, I just want you to acknowledge. And
yes.
Then there's other days I walk through the door and, you know, I ask how my girls are doing, and it's
she lights up.
Yeah, she just gets so excited and jib jabbing and telling me about her day and stuff, and that's the best. I love it. But it always seems like the day I need it, she doesn't want to give it. She's like, nope, up yours. I don't want to do that today. And when she does it to like other people, I'm like, yeah, you know, she don't care about you right now. Like,
no.
You know, and I don't even feel bad. But when it's me, I'm like, oh, come on, kid, just love me.
Because you're her dad. It's different. So her main diagnosis, which we've talked about a ton, is cerebral palsy, which was caused by massive brain damage.
2 grade 4 brain bleeds.
That means 1 on each side of her brain.
Your left and right hemisphere.
Yes, and 4 is the
largest.
biggest. Yes,
Nope,
it goes on a scale, I
largest.
think 1 to 4, and 4 is the biggest.
And I'm sure I've mentioned this before. The best way to describe it is essentially that's what happens when you have a stroke. Yeah. And the doctors were like, imagine your brain gets 2 damaged. Massive strokes.
Mm-hmm. And they don't have any answers for why they happen. They just say she was just early, and they don't know if it's like pressure change. Or...
I was going to say, I think one of the doctors or one of the nurse practitioners like theorized like it could have just been the massive pressure change going from your womb to out here so quickly because it was an emergency C-section. That could have been one of the things. But nobody really knows. And, you know, it was nobody's fault. It just happened.
And you can never... And there's no like set number. There are lots of kids who actually have been born earlier than her. Their kids are born after her. And the numbers are always different. There's no rhyme reason for who gets what kind of brain bleed or what.
That's what makes us individuals. Like a child born at 24 weeks, just like Piper, could be a completely, they are going to be completely and totally different than Piper.
Well, yeah.
You know? May they have brain bleeds? Yes. May they have some of the same issues, cerebral palsy, whatever? Yes. But doesn't mean they're going to have the same. Like Piper CP, she's deemed a spastic quadriplegic with cerebral palsy. There's, 4 or 5 different types.
Like 4 main types.
Yeah, 4 main types of CP. And they've all got their own name. And I can't think of them right now.
I know. I was going to look them up. And then I took a nap, so I didn't.
But no, I mean that's all that really means though, is that it's brain damage.
Yeah.
And what that brain, like the title of it, spastic quadriplegic, that's the title of what it affects her, what that brain damage has done to affect her.
Yes.
And
so she has
Piper,
spasticity in all of her limbs.
In all of her limbs. Full body. And she's really tight on that left side. Like is it asymmetrical when it's really just one side that's affected?
Well, I mean, if we're just talking about tone, you're right. The left side is way more effective. And I
feel like there is a type of cerebral palsy that it just affects one side or the other, or, one half or like your lower half or upper half. Because there's...
Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying, but I don't know what it's called.
Now I feel like such a jackass. But
no, it's not the kind she has, so...
Yeah, exactly. That's not
it.
Piper's CP, so that's not... Yeah. But for Piper's CP with that spastic quadriplegia, her fine motor skills are pretty much non-existent.
Yes.
And her gross motor skills are...
Minimal?
Rough. Yeah, minimal. But she tries. And
yes,
you can see
she works very hard.
And boy, when she's wanting to do something and it's not, her body's not cooperating, and she finally gets to a point where she's like, I'm it. That's like, you can see
the rage come out.
Yeah. Like
you can see the Jessie part come out in her.
The switch flips and she's like, this is some bullshit.
Yes. But again, after 8 years, we can see the massive growth she's had. Like, she still cannot sit unassisted, but she is working. She can hold herself up for
about a good 10 seconds now, at least. Like, if she's
she
good and sitting, unless she's laughing and having a good old time, because then she just can't do it because she's just having too much fun. But no, like, if she is focused and dialed in, she can
so
get
she's
a good 10 seconds.
definitely trying. She's definitely gaining muscle. It's taken 8 years, but that is fine. We will wait it out for as long as she needs us to. So
and she's kind of using, which kind of brings us to one of the procedures that we've leaned into thinking about doing for Piper's, if we cut that nerve.
Yeah.
Because she's learned to use all of her increased muscle tone to benefit her, to work for her, for what she has.
Yeah.
And it's going to suck, but,
I know.
This increased muscle tone is just wreaking havoc.
It's just like good and bad, unfortunately. It's just good and bad. It's causing, some issues in her body, and it's also helping with other things. It is. It's a
catch-22 double-bladed sword for sure.
Because we have talked about, like, her lower extremities are very, very tight. Her muscles are very tense. So she gets Botox in every 3 months.
Legs. She actually just
had it done, which helps alleviate some of that. And we used to use...
That's not a permanent solution.
It's not, which is, again, why we have to talk about other options, because it won't last forever, and we'll have to do something.
Because her legs, unfortunately, don't get enough exercise to build enough muscle. And after a while, her muscles are just going to atrophy, and that medicine's going to have nothing to really bind to anyway.
Oh, well, I honestly don't really know how it works. I'm not even going to sit here and pretend like I have no idea how it works.
I feel like 007 explained it to us once.
He might have, but I'm pretty sure I just said, awesome, it works, great, and
007,
that was it.
Can you clear that up? The next time she comes in to see you, get that clarified. I know that you listen because you're just an amazing, awesome human being. So let's get that cleared up.
Oh man, I mean, I could probably Google it.
You probably could.
Okay.
Or shoot him an email.
Yes, but so we have to constantly do therapy with her, all sorts of therapy, just...
Oh, yeah. Stretching her legs, rotating her hips.
To keep range of motion. And to help her learn some new skills. You can definitely
feel it when it's wearing off as far as changing her. Because, man, doing like those butterfly stretches to kind of get those hip extenders and stuff.
That's a really tough one for her.
That is a tough one. When she starts getting tight, it's like, oh, man, like it just makes getting you dressed, changing you, all that just that much more difficult.
Yeah.
And she hates it too, because then I've noticed too, when she starts wearing out, sometimes she does what, like the Hulk, where she, and I think it's maybe because it hurts. Or because she doesn't have that flexibility and mobility, and like she's trying to fight and resist her own body, and then you at the same time.
Anything at this point, because she can't tell me.
Yeah.
So it's all guessing. It can definitely cause problems with sleep, which we've talked about.
What, her brain bleeds?
Yes. The brain damage can definitely cause problems with sleep. Luckily, at this current we've done the whole bit on medication and stuff for it. We have gotten off of it for the current time being, and it's manageable.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like, she's been okay. It's been manageable.
It is very manageable at this point.
Especially since her last day earlier this year in February,
I know she's like napping now.
She's napping, like, and now she's kind of coming out of it a little bit.
A little bit, you're right. Fine, like barely. Yeah, she's starting to come out.
She'll still kind of, take a little power nap, but it's not like before. Like when she came home, it was almost a given. By noon, she was napping, and napping good for like an hour.
Oh yeah, and from somebody who never napped her entire life. Yep. Yeah, that was amazing.
It's like, yes, you're gonna nap. I am too. Let's do this together.
Yeah. So we have lots of equipment at home to help with therapy stuff due to all those issues. She pretty much has a brace for every piece of her body, which we've just mentioned.
Oh yeah, she likes her new leg braces.
We are in the process. It's been finally okayed by insurance, so it should be here anytime. It is called a Hensinger. I hope I'm saying that right. Collar. Basically, all it is for stability, so she won't be constantly looking down. She has the ability to lift her head up on her own, but she gets tired very quickly.
It's a lot of work for her.
She does have arm braces to help with therapy because we're trying to strengthen her arms because she refuses to use them.
Oh, no, absolutely will not use her arms to bear any kind of weight. Like,
yes.
she'll
move
her arms to slap you in the face, punch you in the eye,
yes,
reach out and, play with something or a button or something, but she refuses, will not do it, won't even attempt to put weight into her arms.
Absolutely hates it. She does have a brace for her. She has braces for both of her hands. Usually I just put it on her left hand, and it's to help keep her thumb out because that hand is so tight. We don't want to lose range of motion in it.
When she tucks her thumb inside, like when she makes a fist, she tucks it inside of her hand.
Yeah. My mom always jokes, Piper, did you get your own nose again? You got to put it back on.
Because her little thumb kind of sticks out between her fingers.
And she just did get some new leg braces to help stretch them out.
She seems to be enjoying those.
Yeah, she does not hate them.
Nuh-uh.
No, I thought she would. She does not.
Yeah, I was iffy about them too. I'm like, gosh, man, I don't know if she's going to like these. And every time you've put them on her, she's had a good time. She moves. She has figured out, like, the first time it was like, wait, I can't roll over. Yeah. What am I doing?
And now she doesn't care.
Nope. She's figured it out and she moves just like she does without them on.
Yep. She does.
Like,
she either rolls over, she like spins in a circle.
She does like a 180.
Yep.
Like a whole 180 of just like rolling over. It's like, where are you going?
Yeah. It's fantastic. And then she has AFOs, which are braces for your feet, which help stabilize her ankles, keep her feet flat.
We use those with the standard.
She has braces for pretty much her entire body.
I bet if we put them all on her, all at the same time, she'd look like the little boy from A Christmas Story.
Yeah, that's what you said last time we talked about it.
Yeah.
I can't move my arms.
I can only imagine the look and the thoughts that she would be.
She'd probably laugh as we were doing it, and then all of a sudden she'd be like...
And then she'd be like, what is this shit? I don't want to do this.
I don't know what's going on right now. Yeah. Maybe I'll just put her all of them and take a picture, because I'm that parent.
You could just put them all together. And these are her leg braces. These are her AFOs. So Piper, what did we cover? Sleep because of her brain bleeds. That was one of them. Her shunt because of her brain bleeds.
Well, we technically haven't covered that.
We haven't like really covered it. That's true. So
no. So I guess if we're talking about her brain damage,
we just go right into the shunt.
So she has hydrocephalus, is what they call it, which is water on the brain. That's what they also call it.
Yeah.
So in order to manage this, the problem is you...
Well, isn't it CF fluid? Because your brain makes CF fluid.
Well, isn't CF actually stand for cerebral fluid?
Yeah, but then it drains down into your spine.
No, I know. But you were saying CF fluid, so you were saying... Anyway, sorry. So it makes fluid, and it usually just drains down your spine. That's
disperses
normal.
Through your body. Your body does it.
You absorb it.
You don't even know about it.
Yeah. It's normal. It happens to everybody. If you're listening, it's happening to you right now.
Yep.
Hers does not drain.
It just fills her brain up like a water balloon.
Yep. And causes pressure, which obviously can cause more damage and is really uncomfortable.
Well, it can kill you.
Yes, it can. So we put a shunt in her brain. yes, we have talked about this before. It goes from her brain and it goes down underneath her skin, behind her ear, over her,
her
clavicle, and into her stomach, into a cavity in her abdomen. And that's where all the fluid goes. It goes down there and absorbs into her body down
Stomach
there.
absorbs it, does what it needs to do, whatever.
It's very fascinating, and when it works, it's fabulous. And when
it fails, it's terrifying as shit.
Fails, it's awful. I can't even count how many times we've had a revision done on it.
Around 5?
At this point. Yeah, probably 4 or 5.
That's what I'm thinking, 4 or 5.
So we have talked about that before. So that's how we manage that situation.
I think, is that...
So Piper also has short gut.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Or is that's it for her, like the brain damage stuff? I was going to...
Oh, yeah.
Go to the shortcut. Yep.
I mean, there's probably a ton of things we could talk about, but yeah. So Piper also has short gut. It's not something we talk about like a ton, purely because hers is very well managed and doesn't cause very many issues. So we are very lucky.
Yeah.
In that aspect.
They were really worried. So what happened with that? Piper had a perforated. Did I say that right? Perforated bowel, and her abdomen cavity was filling up with air, and essentially squishing all of her little organs. So she got life flighted up to the children's hospital, and they had to do emergency surgery on her. And she was only like 4 weeks old. Gosh,
she wasn't even a month old.
Yeah, like not even a full month old.
No, I think it was like the 18th of May she went up there or something. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So they had to remove, if I remember correctly, it was like 45 or 48 centimeters of her small intestine. And the surgeon said if they had to take out any more, that she wouldn't survive because she wouldn't have enough gut to absorb enough nutrients. So she lucked out with that. And they told us right off the bat, like, all the scary things that can come with neck and shortcuts.
So what they were concerned about, again, you were just saying they were worried she wouldn't absorb. That's what they were really worried about, because they thought that she had so minimal that food would basically just run through her and would not have time to absorb into her body. It happens all the time, actually, so kids go home on TPN, which is intravenous nutrients.
Which you are technically like not supposed to live on, because it is so rough on your kidneys.
So rough on your entire body. Because you're right, that's not how you're meant to consume
nutrients.
Yes, but you do what you got to do. So they were very worried. We do not have that problem. And we've never had that problem, so it's been awesome. Her body actually absorbs very well.
Oh yeah, her body absorbs nutrients pretty well. I would say like her biggest issue is her bowel movements.
It's not running through her.
Sometimes she has got the most horrendous diarrhea on the planet.
Like any human on the planet?
Yeah. There's times where she has
basically
days, it's very hard to keep her consistent.
Her main struggle is making sure everything continues to move.
Yes.
That is the real struggle, is to continue. So she does take something for that every day to keep things moving. Because I don't know if anybody's ever been constipated out there, but it's not fun.
No, and there's days, she goes days, like sometimes 4, 5, 6 days without, and it's like, we have to give her a suppository, which we've had to do a couple times, and it sucks, but you gotta get things moving. But then when she gets going, the train has left the station, boy.
Floodgates are open?
Yes. It flows from her like molten magma.
Oh my goodness. So, yes, we don't talk about short gut a lot because in our world, it actually hasn't caused too many issues. Once she recovered, she's been great. So, and then probably the last thing, I'm assuming is the last thing, seizures.
Oh yeah, the big one.
Yeah, which was the last one that she actually developed.
Well, aside from the one that she had when she was first born that I saw when they gave her.
Oh yes, in the NICU, a day after they were born. Yeah, she was good for about 2 years.
Nope, she didn't have any, and then she had one and it rocked us.
Yes, which we did talk about that when it happened. So, she developed seizures, which actually they thought was weird because they feel like they see seizures sooner.
And she could have been having them, and they were just so small that...
Or absent.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a million different kinds of seizures, so
like,
if you don't know what you're looking for.
Because I asked the doctors one time, because I'm like, she'll just stare off into space, and she is not here. Like, she's not responding to sound. You move your hand in front of her and, like, block light. Like, she doesn't move her eyes. Like, she's not there. And then all of a sudden, boom, she'll kind of... It's like she like comes back into her body. Yeah. And he's like, well, it could be an absent seizure, like it's hard to tell.
Unless they catch it on a EEG. Yeah, on an EEG, yes. EEG. It's really hard to tell what's happening in there.
And Piper's had two of those studies?
She's had several.
And they never catch anything and they can't tell you anything because it monitors your brainwaves. Well, they're just watching her hang out, but if nothing happens, which our luck, nothing happens, which is great. We don't want it to happen, but at that point, it's kind of like maybe it should. Can you just give us a little one?
We just want to know what it looks like. I don't know what's happening here. But, so she did develop seizures later.
What was she? 3?
2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Yeah, they definitely came later. I thought we dodged that bullet, and we didn't. So.
Yeah, that was
here we are.
That was something that definitely took some wind out of our sails.
Yes.
We found out she was having a seizure disorder. Yes.
But I also think for me, I mean, I didn't want her to have them anyways because I know how hard they are.
Hard and scary.
And how scary and unpredictable they are. So I was very excited that she wasn't having them.
One of the times before we got used to, just rolling with the punches, it was like, yay, we're not gonna have to deal with this. Right. Oh shit, no, we have to deal with this.
Well, and I think that's it, is because all these other things we found out in the hospital, I knew she was gonna have cerebral palsy. I knew she had brain damage. I knew she couldn't see. I knew all she came home after 6 months of being in the hospital, and it's like I already knew all these things. I was already prepared for them. It was a thing. And then this just showed up out of nowhere. So,
that was a real rough one.
It was. So that was, and I just
noticed.
But
the great thing about it is Piper's CP will not get worse. Her diagnosis will not get worse unless she has a seizure that is big enough to cause more brain damage. Then obviously.
Yeah, which can happen with seizures.
Yes, that can happen with seizures. So, because originally they had told us, it may seem like she's getting worse as she gets bigger, but it's only because she'll be that much behind.
She'll be further behind than...
She's not a typical 8-year-old.
Yeah.
And that makes sense now.
Yeah.
But they also said, too, she won't progress. It won't. It's not like cancer. It's not going to get worse as time goes on. But then she got a seizure disorder, and now it's like, well, that's off the table because she has grand mal. And every time she stops breathing, we have to worry about brain damage.
Yeah. Well, and just seizure activity in general can cause brain damage.
I was going to say, the finish of my thought, just seizure activity in general.
Yeah.
It can cause brain damage. And none of her what really blows me away is none of her seizures have looked the same. I mean, they'll have similarities, but she doesn't flop around violently like a fish out of water. She doesn't I would say the one consistent is the fact that she almost foams at the mouth, because she drools so much, and she just goes to limp noodle status.
Well, okay. So that's more like the big ones. Those are what her big ones look like. Yes. Her massive ones that usually require intervention or hospitalization.
Visits.
Yeah. She goes completely limp and has lost all function of her entire body. So she drools, you're right, profusely because she's not swallowing and she's barely breathing. Breathing. Yes. Those are the most terrifying ones because
she's got the real glassy look in her eyes.
Because obviously she's not really breathing and they're not stopping. Yeah. So, and you're right.
Her little ones that it's really hard to tell. Are you having a muscle spasm? like,
yeah,
because they're just so quick sometimes, and it's like, was that CP? Was that something from your CP, like a muscle spasm, or because of your muscle tone?
Yeah.
Or was that a seizure?
Yeah.
Because it only lasted like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And you bounce right back. Now you're happy and kicking and having a good old time. So it's like, what is it?
I know. And unless we can catch it, you just don't know.
You just don't know.
Yeah. So it makes it really hard. So with seizures, I was just noticing the other day that actually all of her medication, because back in the day before seizures, I was trying my best to get her off all the medication I could possibly get her off of.
That was a big thing for you.
I cannot remember how many she came home on, but
I feel like I want to say it was like 5.
I don't know.
7.
It was a lot. It was 3 times a day. It was several medications. It's a lot.
And at that time, she was taking everything orally.
Yes.
Everything was liquid. And she was a champ, and she was taking everything orally.
Yeah. So by mouth, in case anybody's confused.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah. So that was like, I was
you were
gung-ho getting her off of any medication I get her off of. And
I was with you.
And guess what? Technically, I would have succeeded, but she got seizures, and now all of her medications. Okay, that's maybe exaggerating.
Her 3 main
her 3 main medications are all seizure meds. And so if she had not developed them, the only thing she would possibly be on is Miralax to help keep things moving because of her short gut.
And probably something for her really bad allergies.
Yeah. So she's on Flonase at night.
Because she does. She had a deviated septum that we found out about with this last.
I know.
I'm like, oh, yeah, that's awesome. Well, I was in there. I just went ahead and fixed that deviated septum.
I hope
Great,
you did.
Thank you.
You were in there. Fix it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, so actually I feel like I would have succeeded, but now she has seizures, and this is where we're at.
In true Piper fashion, she's like, ha ha, you think you win?
I know.
I will show you.
I will show you. Dang it. Yep.
I mean, so that's a little more in depth of, Piper's procedures and
her medical,
her little more of her medical history.
Man.
I mean, because she's had quite a bit. Like she had, I don't know if we've ever mentioned this on the show, but she had an IV when she was a baby in her foot.
Oh, and
it
was an arterial line. Arterial line? It wasn't like a regular IV. Yeah, it was like an arterial line.
Like and it plugged off? Or
yeah,
something
it clogged off. And she lost the blood to 3 of her toes by the time they realized it happened. So 3 of her toes were black because they had no blood going to them.
Yeah, we thought she was going to lose toes.
It was funny because I remember that day vividly. My mom was with me, and I didn't even think twice about it. I mean, of course, there's a million things going on, and we'd already lost Caleb, and it was a whole shit show happening. And the nurse, sweetest nurse, loved her absolutely to death.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out which nurse it was.
No.
Without saying names.
Loved her. And she felt awful. She's like, we check them all the time. She goes, I'm so sorry. I swear I was just before changing shifts. One of her primaries, right? Yeah. She was like, I looked at it and I pulled it out immediately and I'm so sorry. And I just said, well, you know what? If she loses a toe, she loses a toe. At this point, it's the least of my worries. It's fine.
She's still breathing.
She'll survive without a toe.
Yep.
Like, it's fine.
And then we kind of watched all 3 of them come back to life.
Slowly.
Oh,
it took a lot of time, but
her big toe and the 2 next to him. So the 3rd toe in the middle came back first, and then the one next to that, and her big toe
took a long time.
Her big toe was the last one. Mm-hmm. But that was one of the issues that she had when she was having a hospital stay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a million of them because that's
she's
just
got she's got a very thick medical file. Like, not even playing.
I just laugh. I'm like, if we printed all this out, how big would this be at this current moment?
Well, we got it. We had a printout when she first came home, and it was like still pretty thick. It was a lot. That was what, 8 years ago?
Yeah.
So I can only imagine adding to it now.
Oh man, it's crazy.
She's a fighter. She's a survivor.
She's doing what she does.
Yeah. Kicking ass, taking names.
Tell
Keeping
'em.
people on their toes.
Always.
But I think that was it for today.
Yeah.
Just kind of lighthearted and just touching base on Piper since it's her show and all.
I mean, I know we've talked about most of the stuff as over the episodes, obviously.
Yes. Out of all the episodes, I'm sure we've mentioned all of these things at least once, at least mentioned it.
Yeah. So we just thought we would kind of like break it all down into one episode and
kind of just cover it.
There you go. In case you had any questions.
If you do, shoot an email. We will do our best to answer it and cover it in the email.
You can message me on Facebook or Instagram and whatever you want to do. I'm
Whatever
around.
Works for you.
Or not.
Boo-boo.
I know most of you. You can text me.
Right.
I'm not putting my number out there for everybody. But glad you came back and listened.
Yeah. And we hope everybody's having a fun and safe summer.
Enjoy it.
We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.
You